My sister kicked me out of Thanksgiving for just being an AC tech. And I need you to tell me honestly, was I wrong for what I did afterward? Because what started as a simple family dinner turned into one of the most humiliating moments of my life. And the decision I made in the heat of sheer disappointment and anger changed everything for our entire family. So before I dive into the whole mess, tell me, would you have reacted the same way if someone you loved treated you like a burden just because of your job title? I never imagined that my own sister would look at me like I didn't belong. But that's exactly what happened. One minute I was walking through the door with a pumpkin pie, proud that I managed to finish a 12-hour emergency repair shift and still make it to dinner, and the next minute she was standing there with her arms crossed, telling me to leave because she didn't want her future in-laws. To think her family was full of low-class laborers. That's the moment my blood froze. The moment my pride turned into something dark and painful. The moment that changed everything. It all started earlier this year. I'm an HVAC tech basically. I fix heating and cooling systems. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. I make good money, I'm debt-free, and I actually enjoy what I do. I work with my hands, solve real problems, and help people. But my younger sister, Emily, she's 20, has always seen life through a different lens. She thinks the world revolves around image, status, and social perception. She's the type who will take 30 pictures of her dinner for Instagram, then not even eat it because it didn't photograph well. Our parents raised us middle class, nothing fancy, but we were taught the value of hard work. Somehow that lesson skipped Emily. Since high school, she's been obsessed with impressing people, especially when it comes to boys. And 3 months ago, she started dating this guy named Preston. Preston comes from one of those families that owns a chain of car dealerships. His parents post pictures from charity galas, and he drives a car worth more than my annual salary. But hey, he's polite enough. I didn't dislike him, at least not at first. The problem wasn't him. It was Emily trying so desperately to fit into a world she thought was better than the one she grew up in. She started acting like her own family was beneath her. And because I'm the eldest, the one who didn't go to college, the one who went straight into a trade, I became her favorite target for embarrassment. Or maybe I was just her easiest. I ignored it at first. Families fight, siblings tease, no big deal, right? But over the past few months, it got worse, little digs, little comments. We'd be in the car, and she'd say something like, "Can you wipe the dirt off your hands? Preston's mom is really particular about cleanliness." Or she'd introduce me to people as my brother who didn't go to college. Never my brother who owns his own home at 28. Never my brother who paid off mom's car last year. Never my brother who was there for me every time she failed a class and cried on my shoulder. No, just my brother who works in AC. My parents knew she had a snobby streak, but I don't think they realized how far it had gotten. They were proud of me. They always told me that a job is a job as long as you do it with integrity. But Emily didn't care about integrity. She cared about appearances so fast. Forward to Thanksgiving. This year, the dinner was at my parents' house, but Emily was bringing Preston and his parents for the first time. She wanted everything to be perfect. She'd spent the whole week bossing my mom around, rearranging the decorations and acting like she owned the place. It was irritating, but I brushed it off. I wanted the night to be good because Mom and Dad were excited. My shift that day was brutal. Anyone who works in HVAC knows that on holidays, systems love to break. I had 2 emergency calls and 1 elderly couple whose heating went out completely. I wasn't going to leave them freezing, so I stayed until the job was done. By the time I headed home, my clothes were dusty, my hands were a little scraped, and I had barely enough time to shower and change. But I did. I rushed through everything, grabbed the pie I'd bought the day before, and drove straight to my parents. I was tired, but I was happy. I walked in, pie in hand, smiling because I could smell the turkey and hear the chatter from the dining room. I heard Preston laughing. I heard Emily talking about something, and I thought, okay, this is going to be good. Then Emily saw me. She walked up fast, her heels clicking, her face tight. Her eyes scanned me from top to bottom, and the first thing she said wasn't hi. It wasn't happy Thanksgiving. It wasn't you made it. It was, oh my God, you look like that. I blinked, confused. I was wearing clean jeans and a sweater. Nothing fancy but definitely presentable. What do you mean? I asked. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Did you wash your hands? Did you scrub your nails? What if Preston's parents think you just came from a job site? Because I did, I said. Emily, I had work. It's Thanksgiving. People needed help, but I changed. I'm clean. What's the issue? She rolled her eyes like I was an inconvenience. I told you this dinner is important. I can't have you embarrassing me in front of them. They're very particular about the people they associate with. They're used to being around professionals. I felt a slap of humiliation, but I tried to keep my cool. I am a professional. I said calmly, no, you're you know. She waved her hand, like searching for a word that wasn't completely insulting but still hurt. Your labor. I stared at her. So what? That makes me less. It makes you not suitable for tonight, she said. Mom and Dad didn't tell you earlier because they didn't want to hurt your feelings, but maybe it's better if you don't stay for dinner. I'll bring you a plate later. My jaw literally dropped. You're kicking me out from my own parents' house on Thanksgiving. She shrugged, as if it was no big deal. It's one night. Please don't make this dramatic. Preston's parents are already here. You walking in like this. She gestured at me again. It's just not a good look. Something inside me cracked, not because of the insult, but because of how easily she said it. How casually she dismissed me, how little she valued me, but I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to ruin the night for my parents. So I swallowed the hurt, turned around quietly, and walked out. As I stepped outside, my mom hurried after me, trying to stop me, but I told her I needed a moment. I walked to my car, sat inside, stared at the steering wheel, and tried not to let the sting turn into tears. Then it hit me, my sister, my own sister, was going to college next semester, a very expensive private university. And guess who had been paying for it? Me, the low-class laborer, the embarrassing AC tech. I'd been covering what her scholarships didn't. Every month, quietly, without bragging, without expecting anything, because I wanted her to have a future. I pulled up the banking app on my phone, and I canceled every future payment. I also typed a short message to Emily. Since my job embarrasses you so much, I assume you won't want any more of my labor money paying for your tuition. Good luck. I put my phone down and drove home. About an hour later, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, missed calls, messages from my parents, from Emily, from Preston, even from Preston's mother. I ignored them. About an hour after that, Dad showed up at my apartment. He didn't yell, he didn't even look angry. His face was just tired, like he'd aged 10 years. He said, "Son, what happened?" I told him everything. Every word Emily said, every insult she threw, every ounce of disrespect. I expected him to tell me I'd overreacted. I expected him to defend her. Parents often do, but he didn't. He sat down on my couch and rubbed his temples. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "She had no right to treat you that way. None. Your mother and I had no idea she'd become this." I nodded slowly. "I'm done helping her financially." Dad sighed. "That's your right." He paused. "She's panicking right now because Preston's parents found out what she said and they're furious." His father actually got up from the table and told Preston he raised him better than to date someone who looks down on honest work. I raised my eyebrows. Seriously? Seriously? Dad said. Emily ran to her room crying. Preston left and his parents left. Dinner was ruined anyway. I didn't know how to feel. Vindicated, guilty, angry, maybe all three. Mom came the next day. She hugged me and cried. Not because of the money, because she realized her daughter had turned into someone who forgot the meaning of respect. Emily tried to call me again, but I didn't pick up. 2 days later, she finally showed up at my apartment. Her makeup was smudged and she looked like she hadn't slept. She walked in without asking and said, "You're ruining my life." I laughed. Literally laughed. You ruined your own life. She crossed her arms. Do you know how embarrassed I was when Preston's parents yelled at me? And now he won't answer my texts, and I can't afford school without you. I stared at her, completely calm. And whose fault is that? She stomped her foot like a child. You're supposed to support me, you promised. I promised to help someone who respected me, I said. Not someone who thinks I'm beneath them. Her eyes watered, but I didn't budge. For the first time in forever, I didn't bend to her drama. She kept crying, kept yelling, kept blaming, but I didn't cave. Eventually, she left. A week later, she applied to a community college. A month after that, she got a part-time job. Mom said it's the first time she's ever worked. Maybe it'll teach her something. Maybe she'll grow up, maybe not. Either way, I'm done being the villain in her mind while being the benefactor in her life. So, that's where things stand. Before I tell you the final bit, I want you to pause and tell me what you think. Honestly, if you were in my position, humiliated by your own sibling simply because of your job, would you have cut her off too? Would you have handled it differently? Comment below before you hear the rest, because here's the truth. The aftermath surprised even me. 2 weeks after the Thanksgiving disaster, Preston reached out to me, not to Emily, to me. He apologized for her behavior. He said he didn't want to be associated with someone so shallow. He also told me that his family admired people who worked with their hands because, as his father put it, without tradesmen, society collapses. I won't lie, hearing that felt like someone poured warm water over an old bruise. Healing. As for Emily, she's still bitter. She still thinks I ruined her future. But she's also learning, slowly. She's been more polite lately. She hasn't apologized in the way I hoped, but she's softened. Maybe consequence was the only language she understood. The final thing that happened was unexpected. My parents told me they want to revise their will and leave part of the family home in my name as thanks for everything I've done over the years. I didn't ask for that. I don't want to profit from any of this. But they insisted. They said I've always been the one holding the family together. Now I'm left wondering if this entire disaster was necessary, like a painful lesson the whole family needed. Maybe Emily will come out better in the end. Maybe one day she'll thank me, maybe not. Either way, I'm at peace with the choice I made. If you were on my side during this story, hit that like button. If you think I should have handled things differently, tell me your version in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess below. I'll see you all in the next story.